Hey everybody, today we'll be doing a first impressions piece on Rune Factory 5, and if this video seems a bit all over the place, it's because I'm going for more of a free-form approach as opposed to a scripted video, because I feel like scripted videos are better for my reviews, and for a first impressions piece, I'm just gonna shoot from the hip and see what happens. But yes, I'd like to thank my friends over at XSEED Games for providing me a review key of Rune Factory 5, and this will be my first impressions of the game on the opening 2 or so hours of the game. That is about as much as I can talk about the game for now due to the embargo restrictions, but there's quite a bit of information to talk about in the opening 2 hours of the game. So, what's here to talk about the opening 2 hours? Well, it's pretty much Rune Factory, but it plays a lot more like Rune Factory Frontier than, say, Rune Factory 4. And to some people, that may be a bit of a scary thing, but it plays like Rune Factory Frontier in a good way. You don't have to worry about the return of a nightmarish Rune system. And when you do the farming part of the game, that's when you get your top-down perspective, so you can get better intricacy when you're going about tending your fields and planting your crops and the whole 9 yards. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. For your exploration and fighting things, you get to do things in the full 3D display, whereas when it comes to your farming, you get a nice enjoyable top-down view for all those little intricacies. But yeah, the farming more or less is, well, it's Rune Factory's farming. It plays the same as Rune Factory 4. You have the stack system where you can pick up multiple items and just chuck it across your field into the shipping bin, which has always been a favorite feature of mine. But a different thing that takes from the Story of Seasons series, or at least the newer entries, is that when you destroy things on the field or go buy loot you find out in dungeons, it automatically gravitates towards you as opposed to having to pick it up. Now, you can still pick it up if you want to stack things, but if it lands on the floor, the game will automatically drag it towards you and put it into your inventory. On the one hand, I do like this. It makes picking up things a lot easier, but there is something addicting about that whole stack and play nature. You just keep picking up things over and over and over again and just throwing it as hard as you can. But, you know, I think overall it's a net positive quality of life feature, especially when you have multiple things going all around you, like when you're chopping down a tree stump or breaking up a giant rock. All the little pieces just go right into your inventory, and there's no fear of it just like flickering away for having too many on screen at once. But let's talk a bit more about the actual town that we're in ourselves. So, as always, we are a amnesiac Earthmate who has no idea why we're here or what we're really supposed to be doing here, but we've been adopted into a weird little ranger association called XSEED. If you've played the Legend of Heroes series, they are more or less the Bracers Guild. You go around town solving issues for people, and you get rewarded in the process for doing so. That's basically how they tie in Rune Factory's message board system. That's not the right proper name for it. Town board, bulletin board, there's the name. How they tie it into this game to give you purpose as to what you're doing. You're actually a person whose job is to go out and solve issues around town. I think that makes a lot more sense in continuity than saying, hey, you just moved into this town, go solve all of our issues. Now, they gave you a job to do that with, so now you have a reason to do all of those issues. I don't know, it's a nice little touch to bring it into the main story. The starting characters you meet in the opening 2 hours of Rune Factory 5 are also really nice. I was kind of on the fence about a lot of the characters in Rune Factory, but honestly, I love everyone I've met so far in Rune Factory 5, and there's quite a few bit of characters I even had a chance to meet yet who I'll probably meet as the game goes on. And honestly, I feel really attached to the people in this town so far. It's really good. I feel like a lot of the character writing, a lot of the intricacies of like how they interact with the town are really nice. Sure, it can sometimes feel a little bit lifeless when you're walking around sometimes, because people seem to be walking to different places with no rhyme or reason, especially in the earlier part of the game where it seems to be not all the facilities in the town are available for you at the start. But the town does feel a bit lived in, and there is a real good sense of community. And that's something I really do appreciate about Rune Factory games, especially ones like the first Rune Factory. While there's a lot of things I dislike about Rune Factory 1, I do appreciate that the people in the town, well, felt like townsfolks. And now you know why I really dislike Rune Factory 2, too. And the final thing I'm here to discuss is the overall dungeons. Right at the start of the game, there are many different areas you can go to explore around the overworld that are not in town. But be warned, if you venture off too far, you're gonna get one-shot by a lot of enemies in the higher level areas. I thought I went to the starting area, but it turns out I went to like a level 40 area, and I got one-shot by a squirrel. Oh, Rune Factory, I love you so much. But when I did go to the actual first dungeon that you're supposed to go to and it's appropriate to your level, it was a pretty good fare. It's your typical grass type dungeon, and the environments, in my opinion, look really nice, and this going through the dungeon crawling aspect is a lot of fun. And the boss in the dungeon isn't really on one set path. there are different paths in the dungeon you can go on to see other cool things around it that don't really lead to the boss. I'm not sure if they lead to anything else later on in the game, but it's a nice bit of like exploration thing where you can just like, you know, move on and to try out, to look into other things around town. I don't know why I said around town on that one. I mean around in the dungeon. But yeah, those are things I've been really liking about Rune Factory 5 a lot. The farming's great so far. The character interactions have been really good so far. I like how things feel like, you know, part of a giant community. The dungeon crawling's been fun, even though I've only really done one dungeon and I haven't really been one-shot in. And I can't really discuss things beyond that first dungeon, but so far in this little confined area, from a gameplay perspective and from the writing perspective, I'm really enjoying Rune Factory 5 quite a bit. My only concern with Rune Factory 5 is the consequences of it being a Switch title. Now, there are a lot of good games that run on Switch, perfectly fine. As the game is now, this is not one of them. There are quite a few performance issues. The game does struggle to hit 30 frames per second consistently, but I've been told by my contacts at XSEED there is a day one patch for this game that will probably get closer to the release. That'll bring it more closer in line to the Japanese version of the game, which from the last time I played that version was not plagued by as many frame rate issues as the version I'm playing now. So the version I'm playing now is a pretty choppy mess when it comes to frame rate. The game will sometimes stutter and freeze when I leave certain buildings, but I'm going to chalk that up to it just being the pre-release build of the game, and when the day one patch is released, hopefully it'll be before I write my review, it'll fix up a lot of those issues when it comes to performance. But outside of the performance issues, I can somewhat overlook them a bit because sometimes it'll be a little hiccup with some performance issues, and then the game will snap back into reality and run just fine. But it can be a bit jarring when you're just like running through different parts of town or opening a door, that everything just kind of grinds to a halt. But I have been told that those issues will hopefully be fixed in the day one patch. And that makes sense because there's no reason why the localized version should play worse than the Japanese version. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts on Rune Factory 5. It was a good... I mean, I only talked about the opening 2 hours of the game, but it took me a good 4 hours to get through that 2 hour bit because I was going through basically everything I could get my hands on, so it was quite a bit of fun. Hopefully you're enjoying the gameplay of Rune Factory 5 you're seeing in the background of this video. And I should also mention I'll be streaming Rune Factory 5 later today on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/gammapt. I'll have a link down in the description below where I'll be going through the opening 2 hours once again and seeing what we can accomplish. And maybe I'll do a small Q&A for the game after the live stream, but that's pretty much what we're looking at for that one, so I'll be going through the opening bit of the game on Twitch. Once again, that's twitch.tv/gammapt. And if you're new to my channel, find out for the first time through this video, hey, be sure to subscribe for future Rune Factory 5 coverage, and I plan to fully review this game as we get closer to the release of it, and hopefully show off some more gameplay stuff that that'll become available to me as the embargo slowly begins to lift on this game. But yeah, that'll be it for now. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, leave them down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. And as always, everyone, I'll see you all in the next one. Take care for now.